I hope everyone's doing well. Colin Campbell, how you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic, my brother. Always good to have you here on the CEO mindset.
That's right. That's right. We had some fun with the last live stream, which was really our first official episode one of season one of many,
Yeah.
talking about our CEO mindset and moving forward and how to move people forward, and more importantly yourself move forward. And today, Colin, before we jump into it, we thought we'd talk about the circle of influence, that classic circle, who's in your tribe, right? All
Yeah,
of that kind of stuff. So let's roll the intro and get right into it.
absolutely.
Yes, sir. That's Colin Campbell. I'm Gary McGowan. This is the CEO Mindset, where we talk about all things leadership, but more importantly, how to be a better human and help those and elevate those around you. And we all live a life of leadership, whether it's a friend, a spouse, a father, a mother. If you're in business, you're a leader. If you're an employee or an employer, if you're an owner, everybody, Colin, like everyone has leadership skills. And that's what we're here to talk about today, right?
And the truth is, you're the CEO of your own life, right? So whether you're running a big company or you're just managing your household or you're managing your own life, you are the CEO. And a lot of our conversation is it can gear to you, that individual who's managing their own life or who's managing a big corporation.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking of like who's in our lives, well, that's what we're going to talk about. That circle of influence, right? And
Yeah,
it's interesting because you and I, we've been in fact each other's circle now for many years. But there
many
was a
years.
time where we didn't have that, and
Absolutely.
I think today's message, before we kind of dive deep into it, what I'd love for people to take away from this, Colin, is as we go through life and as we have hit different stages in life, that circle is always ever changing, right?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
it's
And
okay to move people out and pull people in. Like, not that you need permission, but if you needed to hear that today, you have that permission. So, Colin, talk to us about what. First of all, let's talk about the generality of the circle
yeah.
of influence. Like, what's that mean to what's that mean to you?
So the circle of influence to me basically means the things in my world that I can control, right? And Stephen Covey also said there's a circle of concerns, the things that I cannot control, right? But today we're talking about more the circle of influence, the things you can control, such as your health, what time you go to sleep, what time you wake up, are you having a healthy diet, your mindset. Those are your circle of influence, and those are the things you as an individual can control. Am I going to work out today? That's on me. And just going through the circle of influence, it reminds me of the serenity prayer. God grant me the wisdom. Remind me of how the prayer goes there, Gary.
You
Uh,
got me. You're throwing me under the bus right away. I love
Man, I
it.
think I have it on my phone here. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There we go. So it's basically understanding what is in your circle, what you can change, and focusing your energy on that, right? Your health,
I think Colin was saying your health, and
on the
as
things you can change.
yeah, there we lost you for a moment there, my man, but
Oh,
it's all
let
good.
me let me just take off.
It's all good. And one of the things that I remember one of my brother-in-law saying, who does a lot of leadership counseling and things like that, is there will be people in our circles, Colin, and they have different roles,
Of course.
right? You can't, as much as we would all love to hang out with ourselves, we need some different opposites attract, obviously. And there's going to be the cheerleader. And I wish I could remember off the top of my head what they were, but there's going to be the cheerleader. There's going to be the person that calls you out. There's going to be the person that is, you can't do this, but you can do this, right?
Absolutely.
And all that. But we need all of those types of we'll call it influences in our lives. And maybe one of the questions is, how do we go about seeking the type of people that we need in our circle?
Well, I think what is most important is understanding that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, whether you like it or not. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So the people that we're spending that time with really determine shapes what our lives will look like. They shape what conversations or what thoughts will dominate our mind. They also shape what our financial level, our health, right? So they shape our attitude. So I would certainly say look at the people who is in your circle and decide, are these the people that you want in your circle? It's good to have families. Obviously, your family's blood, you can't change that in any way. But does that necessarily mean your family need to be in your circle in terms of you achieving your highest goal or living your fullest potential? Right? It's understanding what those goals are and surrounding yourself with people who are on their way to achieving the same goal or who have already achieved the goals that you're looking to achieve. And that is where we create our tribe. This is where we create, our circle. And by protecting that circle and understanding the people who is in that circle with you will either elevate you or pull you back.
Yeah, I like that. And you mentioned it little kind of briefly there, maybe having the same goal as you. Let me ask you this question. Is it important for people that are in your circle to have the same goal or maybe perhaps the same ambition or grit or what have you? Like, is it different or is it the same thing? I'm curious to know what that is.
You can certainly have both. There's no right or wrong. There's no one or the other. For instance, our goal, you and I, our goal is to create financial wealth for ourselves or our family, and also teach people around us how we can do that. So that's a similar goal, but also that someone with a similar grit and determination and passion might be someone else that is also in my circle. Might not necessarily have that same goal, but I'm leaning on them for certain things. So it's really understanding who's in your circle and what are the strengths that you can share with each other.
So let's talk about this. And we'll dig a little bit deeper into this maybe after
Yeah.
this question. Is it easier to add people to your circle, or is it easier or harder to push people out, move people out? Because I think really, we've had some really candid conversations what that looks like with the people in our the brokers that we belong to and so
Yes.
forth, and I think people see that as a roadblock. That there's these people in my lives and I don't know how to get them out.
And
What would you say to that? Yeah.
that's an interesting thought, Gare, because you might add someone to your circle when you're looking to just get at base camp of Mount Everest. And they're the perfect person for base camp. But your ultimate goal is to get to the summit of Mount Everest. And not everyone will be with you along that journey. And not everyone is able to withstand the pressures of climbing at such a altitude. So, what got you to a certain point might not necessarily be what you need to get to the next level. And for us to get to the next level, sometimes we have to give up on past behaviors, past friends. And we're not saying cut these people out of your life, but in your circle of you achieving your goals, you might just need to, that person might not be part of that circle anymore, where you might need to attract new people into your tribe to help you achieve those goals.
Yeah. And I like the way you said that is, how we got here is not how we're going to get there. in a
Yes.
sense, right?
Yeah.
It's a different tool set, different thing. And we're not always talking about, hey, how do I double my business? How do I triple my business or my, whatever it is that you're in. It could be many things. Like, for instance, me, I'm working towards spending more time at home and more time with my family. So that success, or the way I measure success, is going to be different the way that you or the next person, and so
Absolutely.
forth, right? Sometimes
Absolutely.
it's monetary, and for other times it's time, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I think, Colin, as we're talking here, I want people to understand that this message is relevant to however you measure success, right?
Yes.
However you look at leadership, and I like the fact that we do have to move people in and out of our circle, our tight knit circle, for instance. And I know I've been asked before, well, how do you do that? Trust me, you start spending more time on whether it's the hobby or your choice of investments or your choice of work or what have you, those other people tend to fade away.
Absolutely. Um, because you're now going to a new altitude, and they might not have the gear. They might not have a pack of oxygen with them to get to that altitude, and they might say, "Okay, this is not the level I want to be at," and they will. Sometimes they just eliminate themselves, or they remove themselves from that circle, or sometimes you might have to have that candid conversation. This is where I'm looking to go, and I'm looking for people that I can support and who can support me in achieving those goals. And that is what a CEO does, whether it's a CEO of a corporation or a CEO of your household, or you're just running your life. The goal is to understand what your goals are and utilize the tools that will get you to achieve those goals, whether it becomes monetary or time with family, whatever those goals are. If you are a married man and most of your friends are all divorced guys, you might be the fifth one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
If a lot of your friends are happily married, now you can share in that. If a lot of your friends are all investors, they're looking to buy investment properties, very soon you'll start acting and thinking like an investor, and you'll start making the decisions that an investor make. There's no way you can hang out with negative people and expect a positive change in your life or have positivity in your life. So it's understanding who you surround yourself with will get you to either get you closer to your goal or further away from your goal.
I like it. That's a great analogy. The marriage piece we'll talk about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. And let's give some people another example. For instance, like I know you. We've known each other for a long time, and you started surrounding yourself with other people in the for instance, the Keller Williams Young Professionals Network, who wanted to achieve the ownership of a brokerage. And
Yeah.
and you started that maybe, I don't know if it's been 5 years. We'll say 4 years. In
Mm.
fact, two. So even better. And as I think about that group, and I know all of you guys
Yeah.
and women, every single one of them now either own a brokerage or are very close to it. Talk about
Absolutely.
what that is. Like, talk about that a little bit.
And it comes down to aligning yourself with the right people and the people who have similar goals as you, and people who are also going to help you stretch beyond your limiting beliefs as well. Right? We had a small, knit, tight group of young professionals, and we started talking about sharing our goals. What are our goals? And as a group, we decided that, individually, we all want to achieve ownership in a brokerage. And it's interesting to say, Gear, 2.5 years later, every one of us owns their own brokerage or is on track to own a brokerage by the end of this year, or is part ownership in a brokerage as well. So, and that is the power of having like-minded people on your team, in your tribe, to help you achieve whatever goals you have in front of you.
I like it because you were all working towards the same thing. And then there's that element of, a little FOMO, fear of missing out. Hang on.
Of course.
that person just got their brokerage. I want to be
Yes.
next.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and you don't want to be the one pulling the group back in a sense. You want to be right there with them and moving everybody forward. So whether it's the ownership of a brokerage or a business, I think an investment property is another great example as well. You don't want to be caught sitting on the sidelines when other people are taking action around you, right?
And that forces you, that group forced me to start thinking bigger, start thinking like a CEO, start thinking like an owner. How do I develop myself? What are some of the courses I need to take? What are some of the leadership qualities that I need to develop on? Right? So it just allows you to stretch. Bringing it back now to regular life and just an individual who might not be running a company. If it's your intention to lose weight, you know, summer's coming up, Beachbody is going to be ready soon. If it's your intention to lose weight, whether it's 5 pounds, 50 pounds, if you're hanging out with the people who every day they're going to the gym, that motivates you now to go to the gym. The day you miss the gym, you're going to feel guilty. Like, oh, I should be there. Now, if you're hanging out with people who every day they're going to, a buffet and they're just eating as much as possible and you want to lose weight, it's impossible for you to lose weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed it. You nailed it. So let's give people a little bit more, some tangible takeaways here, for instance, as we kind of wrap up. We talked about, of course, being around like-minded people is going to move you forward. Not only like-minded
Yes.
people, but people that stretch your thinking, challenge your thinking, and legitimately want to see you succeed as well. And we talked about, when we start doing the things that we want to do, away from the things or the people that are pulling us back, those people will go away. But what are some of the areas? How do I meet new people? How do I add people to my group? What do I got to do?
Google is your friend. All right. It's understanding what are things that you want to do. And there are groups out there for all of this. There are online groups, there are in-person groups. You and I, we met at an investor group. Without that group, my circle, and I look at the people in my circle right now, so many of them I can attribute to that investor group that we were both a part of. And they're still in our circle today.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people that we're growing with and who continue to grow. So, whatever your goals, your aspirations are, look to see who's doing similar and align yourself with people like that. I say, I would even take it further and ask yourself two questions. Who am I spending the most time with? And who are the people I admire the most? And do these two groups align?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the truth is, you should be spending the time with the people that you admire the most. That will allow you to hit your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to add on to that is who's the person that I want to be, but who's the person I need to be today to become that person, right?
Absolutely.
And the people around us will have a dramatic impact of what that looks like to you every day, for sure, for sure. And for like that tangible piece for a lot of our peers, for instance, I know in my first couple of years of real estate, it was had a nice business going along and a decent income. And it was not until perhaps you and I started hanging out and then pull in some of the other, we'll call them top producers. And all of a sudden your game or your business and your mindset, it changes. And all of a sudden there's a term out there and it's not real estate related. It's just business related. That financial IQ goes from here and here and moving up and moving up. And it's the same with everything, right? If that success ladder looks a lot different when you surround yourself with people that are doing the things that you want to do. And I think that's incredibly important. So as we wrap up here, give us some last closing thoughts.
Final thoughts is you are the CEO of your life. You determine who is in your circle. So you can either promote people or you can demote them, because the people in your circle will have an impact in your life and your family's life. So understand who you're spending the most time with. Is it the people that you admire? And if it's the people that you admire, then you're going to achieve your goals.
Beautiful. I love it. And great words from Dylan there. Powerful show, guys. I'm packing the oxygen tanks. See you
See
at
you
the
at the
summit.
summit. Yes,
We'll
sir.
see you there. Well, that's Colin Campbell. I'm Gary McGowan. That's another show of the CEO Mindset. We'll see everybody on the next show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.